Hello there, I'm John Duigenan from IBM. I'm a distinguished engineer and account technical leader in the US financial services market. It's great to meet you, thanks for your time. I've been on a learning journey with watsonx.governance and I wanted to share it with you because I'm really excited about the capabilities. watsonx is IBM's AI platform and a key part of what we do in that AI platform is automate the governance lifecycle. We know how complex AI risk and governance is for most financial services firms. It's not an automated process. It's not a structured process, much of which is happening today on pieces of paper or Excel spreadsheets in manual workflows. Imagine a platform that automates the collection of data and integrates that across a very structured set of workflow processes, allowing everyone in the organization at any level to make informed, metric-based decisions about the AI safety of the application of a large language model or a conventional model to a wide range of use cases across the organization. Now, ordinarily, we might show you a PowerPoint with 50, 60 slides and drown you in information. Instead of doing that today, I thought I'd share my learning journey with you and show you what I know about the platform and how to use it. And hopefully that will bring some of these ideas alive for you. Remember, two things. I'm still learning, and so I'm happy to be vulnerable in this process. Second, there's a lot to watsonx, and I'm showing you a small piece of it today. But I want you to get an understanding. Once you have that understanding of the value, we'll decide what to do next, and we'll decide how to dig into this with your own use cases, using your models in your environment, and that's an exciting thing for us to be able to do. So, does this sound good? Are you ready for that? Let's buckle up our seatbelts and get ready, because it's going to be a fast drive and a fun drive. Okay, so right now we're looking at my watsonx environment. This one happens to be running in IBM Cloud. It's a shared environment that we use to learn about watsonx and to show watsonx to our clients like you. Equally, this watsonx environment could be running in your data center or in any cloud that you want. Okay, and so IBM's not about restricting your choices here. Okay, so let's get stuck in. What we're going to see is some very simple concepts play out. We're going to look at AI use cases. We are going to look at projects. We're going to look at deployments. Those are the three things to remember. The key message here is at every stage of the journey, those key constructs are integrated with each other and sharing information with each other. And so information that's generated at one stage is visible in others. So if we're evaluating something at a low-level part of the process, we can surface that information up so that more senior people can make informed decisions. Okay, no more talk. Let's go. Let's see this happening. The first thing I'm going to do is create an AI use case. This is IBM watsonx that we're seeing right now. And these processes are very simple. We will see them come to life right now. Okay, and we can see there's a bunch of people working in here. I'm going to add an AI use case into this space myself. We will use this use case to organize all of the assets and artifacts about, oops, typo, understanding how our LLM will be used to evaluate car or auto insurance claims. Okay. Now, I have the choice here to set some parameters. I'm not going to work with too many of them right now. I'm going to choose a risk level of medium. And we can say more about that another time. My current status is that I'm ready for use case approval, right? I've done some development work already. You'll see that I've done that in a minute. And I'm going to be ready to start looking at whether the prompts that I've built to be used against a model in watsonx are effective and have the right quality. We're generating the use case right now. And you can see it. And already it's populated with metadata. We didn't have to do anything to create that metadata. And we can see a view, a current state view of that use case. Now, there's not much happening there right now because we don't know too much about it. We need to associate some of the other information artifacts that we'll certainly do in a second. Again, I can change the status on many of these fields, should that be the right thing to do. Okay, so we have our use case ready to go. The thing I'm going to do next is create a deployment space. So this use case, the use case that we created was a collection of governance assets. The next thing I'm going to do is create a collection of deployable assets. And we call that a deployment space. Within deployment spaces, we put deployments. Okay? Sounds complicated. It isn't. It'll become obvious in a second. So I'm going to create a deployment space. This is where I will keep a collection of deployments. Okay. Now I need to choose a watsonx runtime service. I happen to have created one already. I know that there are several here. The one that I have ends in HR, so I'm going to choose that. And I'm in testing right now. The stage that I'm in is at testing. So we'll create that. That's all happening. Okay, I can view it. Right now, there's nothing in there. We won't worry about that. But we're going to create a project that we will deploy in a deployment into this deployment space. So let's go create that project. And when we think about a project in watsonx, project is an area for developers, AI developers to collaborate, a shared space. And so I'm going to import a project that I've already created that speeds this demo up. I'm going to name this my project. These are the data and prompt assets that I will use to evaluate my claims summarization use case with an LM. Okay, so and I have this as a local file. It's on my desktop. I'm just going to drop that zip file containing the project artifacts and have watsonx import those right now. And it's doing that this very moment. And we'll see what they are in a second. So we're going to look at the import summary first. And we can see that we didn't have any failures and that we imported 3 data assets, or 4 data assets in fact, and 3 prompt templates. Okay, good, very good indeed. And now I'm going to associate that project with my watsonx runtime service. Okay, watsonx AI runtime service. Remember, the one that I have ends HR. I'm just associating it here so that this project knows to call that running instance of watsonx.ai. And so we have done that. Right, our next step is to associate our use case, which is here, sorry, took me a moment, with the workspace that we just created. And I'm going to do that now. And the way that I do that is very, very simple. In the develop tile, sorry, I'm going too fast. I'm scrolling down and we can see some information about the workspaces. The first thing I'm going to do is associate the project. And for validation, I'm going to associate the workspace that we created. This is the deployment space that I created. As you can see, I'm associating that with this AI use case. Okay. Now, what we can now see is that I've got a project that I'm working on and a workspace that I'll use for validation. All good so far, very clear. I hope it's very clear to you. Okay. Now what we're going to do is start to work on tracking and evaluating. And the first thing I want to do, insurance claim summarization is the one that I want. The first thing I'm going to do is look at the AI fact sheet. And the very first thing it tells me is that I have not tracked this. Okay, we'll come back to it in a second. I can see metadata in here. I can see information about the prompt and parameters in the prompt. And what you'll see so far is I see nothing about the evaluation of this model. I have to turn on tracking. And I get a choice about what I want to track. Let's see how this looks. So it gives me a default approach. And then I get to determine where I am in the process. Am I at an experimental stage? Am I at a stable stage? Or am I wanting to do something very custom? Let's work on an experimental stage for right now. And turn on that I'm going to track my asset. Okay? And so I've now added tracking to that project for the insurance summarization use case. Okay, and we're looking now at the fact sheet, which has been updated. You can see I'm at the develop stage in the life cycle, and so on. All right, we are now going to deploy the foundation model. And I'm going to promote that to the deployment space I already have. And I will, this is essentially saying, send that project to a deployment space so that we can run it and track it and evaluate it. Okay. And we're now doing that. We can see the fact sheet again. And again, we're validating. And we're associating it with the use case. Excellent. Okay. Now then, I want to start evaluating. And you can see now that we can evaluate because we promoted it to a deployment space. We are tracking. So you can see we are tracking. We know we've promoted. We're going to start evaluating. And we're running an evaluation job. Okay. Now let's take a look at this evaluation job. We have a file. That is a CSV file. Whoops. I'm just going to show it to you. It looks like this. So this is information about an insurance claim, description of an insurance claim, just very descriptive, and then a summarization. So in this case, we can see a long description and then the outcome, the vehicle was stolen. These are the records that we will feed into our model to evaluate it. And the way that I do that, first of all, it's asking me what are the measurements I want to look at. And I have choices here. The reality is I want everything tracked. I want to look at everything. So I'm going to just show you the types of analysis I can do and measurement I can do. Quality, content, Rouge scores, SARI, Meteor, and so on. These are standards that folks are using to evaluate. Okay, equally, I could plug in others into these measurements. The other thing I'm going to do is understand model health. What model health here is, how is my model deployment performing? We'll see more about that in a moment. So I have yes to both of those turned on. I am going to drop that file, the test file we just looked at, into this workspace, and the evaluation is going to start. It's going to ask me, what's the delimiter? It's a comma. And we already saw that the first column for the input is the insurance claim and that the output is the summary. And we're going to ask the evaluation to evaluate. This is going to take a little time. And for that reason, I won't start playing some music, but I will have a little coffee. This could take 30 seconds or so. And as I said, I'm using a terrific watsonx environment that my colleagues and I use together and share so that we can learn together and understand together how to talk to all of you about watsonx. And isn't it refreshing that we're not doing this with 1,000 slides, but we're actually seeing watsonx at work? I find that particularly exciting, and I hope you do too. Right, we're proceeding some way through, and our results that came from running the prompts have been uploaded and they're now being evaluated. And we'll get some feedback in a moment about what's happening. And this is really where things start to come together. All right, one test is run. Guess what? It's red, it failed. So we get some summary health information, but this is really what we're going to pay attention to. and we have 14 alerts triggered from that test. My goodness, what's happened, right? And what's happened is that we can see that we are breaking all kinds of configured thresholds. These thresholds are all configurable. You can set them the way that you want, but it's worth knowing. And so all of those metrics that we looked at earlier have been measured in response to those 10 prompts that we submitted, or 10 tests that we submitted, 10 records. And so we can see immediately, these are the raw scores. And yes, that's interesting. It's maybe not the easiest way to understand this, but we'll get to why this matters. I also want to show you the model health. We talked about this being the performance. This view is particularly important for an infrastructure engineer to understand essentially the throughput of this model running in its current environment. And so we could see if we had latency and throughput issues and maybe capacity issues, and understand what's happening. This information is very comprehensive. The other nice thing about the top is that I can view each of these records across a number of different time parameters, essentially. So that's useful. However, I think I want to see this, and again, a visual view. And we start to see this in more of a graphical format. So interesting. So what we're going to do now is start to look at the fact sheet. Now remember, the fact sheet automatically collects the information. It assembles it. It presents it in a way that is consumable. Now we can see now much more information than we had before. Okay. And by the way, we're in the development and validate stage. We know that because we said that before. But here's our fact sheet now showing much more information than we had before, including the test results. And they are beautifully presented. And each of them has an annotation that we can look at and understand, okay? So ready information that we can find. We didn't have to do anything to assemble this ourselves. The capabilities of watsonx integrated this information for us. Okay, and that is amazing. And we can see very comprehensive information. Oops, I apologize. So everything that we have, we see in that fact sheet at the project level. As we just saw, that's coming up again. Our test results are all there. Okay, so we've just seen this. Now what I want to do is go to the use case. Who's using the use case? Maybe our risk staff who don't want to be in the depths of the project, but they want to understand what's happening in the life cycle, and they can already see just from that top page. Let me just go back and show you that one more time. You can already see that we've got alerts. Okay, so my risk officer who wants the abstracted business view can see right away, you got to deal with something right here. Okay, this is populated as we saw before, but we now want to start to understand the life cycle. We're in the life cycle, we can see what's happened, and we can see we've got some concerns. And I'm just going to show you that because we are in the use case level, the AI use case level fact sheet, and you can see that at the high level, the results are now here. They have populated automatically across, which is exactly what we wanted to see. And then that enables us to go into the project and look at a deeper level. Okay, so what have we seen? We've created a use case. We've created a place to deploy a use case. We've created a project that contains our AI artifacts. We turned on tracking. We evaluated that use case and we populated the evaluation information about quality and health up through the entire hierarchy of team members who need to look at that. In the process, we've understood the alerts and can make an informed decision about how to promote a model through its deployment lifecycle into production or not, choosing along the way what remediations we would make if we had alerts that we could not live with. I hope that gives you a really comprehensive flavor of what we can do with watsonx.governance. Amazing capabilities. I want to thank you for joining me on my learning journey as I work through all of this and seek to understand it so I can show you. And I'm willing to sit down with you and deep dive this anytime because we want to understand this together. And I'd like to ask you to think of a use case where you could do this in your environment. Let's do this at your place with your model and your data and understand how we can simplify the quality, health, and governance processes for your needs. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Let's follow up on this soon.